Welcome to the Medical Mayhem Active Shooter Consequence Management Exercise Briefing. My name is Chris Floyd, and over the next 15 minutes we're going to review the scope of the exercise, the need for team participation, exercise basics in terms of site logistics, the Onyx system and how it is to be used, the process for exercise evaluation at your hospital, and of course the reports that you will receive shortly following the exercise. However, it's important to understand with this exercise, its focus is consequence management. The scenario for the exercise will begin once law enforcement has completed the response activities at your hospital dealing with an active shooter event. In other words, you will be focusing on those actions that will need to take place in the hours, days, and even weeks following an active shooter incident occurring at your facility. Team participation. Everyone who participates in the exercise needs to pre-register. There are several reasons behind that. First, so that we can provide exercise information to everyone prior to the exercise. Also, following the exercise, each individual participant will log into the Onyx system to submit their individual hot wash. These hot washes will become part of your hospital's after action report. Now, on the day of the exercise, everyone will come together at one location. Only one person on your team needs to actually log into the Onyx system and control the exercise through that computer. Display the screen from the computer up on an LCD via an LCD projector on the screen or a flat panel, whichever you have access to. So, kind of to review, only one person on the day of the exercise will need to log in to the Onyx system and drive the exercise, while everyone that's participating discusses the various actions that will need to be taken based on the scenarios and in-checks. Exercise basics in terms of logistics. First of all, you will need a high-speed internet connection. You will need a computer. It's preferable if you have an LCD projector, as I mentioned earlier, to display the screen of that computer through so that everyone can follow the various actions and scenarios and injects. Need to have at least Firefox version 3.0 or greater, or Internet Explorer 7.0 or greater. It's very helpful if you have any plans and procedures that you may have dealing with any kind of consequence management. Think of it as recovery after the event. Once again, the focus of the exercise will be on consequence management. Now, we're going to be participating and playing through the exercise in a system called the Onyx system. This is an HC compliant tool so that on the day of the exercise, one person on your team will go to onyxsystem.com. Once they've accessed that page, in the lower right hand corner, that's indicated by the big green circle, they will use their username and password to log in to the Onyx system. Once they have logged in, the screen will look a little bit different. The upcoming exercise that they have registered for will appear up in the upper left hand corner under a little header called Your Exercises. Now for this particular exercise, it's going to say Medical Mayhem. So that individual who has logged into the Onyx system will click on the Medical Mayhem exercise, and it will move them to the beginning point, the start point of the exercise. Now, at this point, you want to make sure your team is all gathered, you've conducted any introductions that you may need to conduct, because once you click on the forward arrow, you will begin to move into exercise play. However, before we move forward, you will notice in the upper right hand corner an overall time counter. The exercise is designed to last about 7.5 hours. However, your participation should take in the neighborhood of about 2.5 hours. Some of you will go through the material faster than others, and that's an okay thing. It just varies depending on how much time your team spends on each of the scenarios and injects. So sometimes teams may complete the exercise in just over 2 hours. Some may take as long as 3 hours depending on the level of discussion. But that overall timer will be counting down through the exercise. So once your team is ready to move through the exercise, the person driving the computer will simply click on the forward arrow once and move into exercise play. The very beginning of the exercise will look somewhat like this particular screen capture. Beginning of the exercise will have a final briefing that you need to thoroughly review with your team that is participating in the exercise. So make sure you review the material. On this page you will find a help desk number that you can call during the exercise if you need any support, whether it's programmatic with the exercise or a technical issue with the internet. Now you will also notice in the upper right hand corner there's now a second timer. Each screen that you play through has a timer specific to that screen, and the amount of time on each screen differs based on how long we believe it should take you to review the injector scenario and type in the appropriate response. So you'll want to keep a kind of a close eye on that second timer, which will be the top one. That's that screen timer as you move through the exercise. Alright, we have clicked on the forward arrow. We've begun to move into exercise play. Once again, you notice in the upper right hand corner there are two timers. The bottom timer, the overall exercise. The top timer is the amount of time to review and respond to this particular inject. An inject is made up of a series of statements, a series of information that you and your team will need to discuss and key in, type in your response into the Onyx system. Once you have completed your response, what you will simply do at the bottom of the page is click on the submit button once, and that will continue to move you forward in the exercise. Now also by clicking on the submit button, all of the information that you've keyed into that point is automatically saved in the Onyx system and will become part of your inject response report that you'll receive following the exercise. Now throughout all Onyx system exercises, you will have the opportunity to click on hyperlinks that may be embedded in the text of the various scenarios and injects to access additional information that may be important to participating in the exercise, could provide you with some additional resources, some additional information, etc. So do take the opportunity to click on those hyperlinks, review the additional information that is out there. So far we've logged in, we conducted our briefing, we clicked on the forward arrow, we've come to an inject page. Inject page does not have a forward arrow. You need to complete that inject and click on the submit button, and that keeps you moving on through the exercise. Now we've come to another inject. This one's a little bit more lengthy. It deals with fleshing out during this exercise your incident command system. Who's going to be the incident commander? What's their role? So we'll have some injects that are pretty short, maybe as simple as a yes and no, but then we'll have some that may take you upwards of 25 or 30 minutes to walk through in terms of like fleshing out your incident command structure or the pieces and parts of your hospital incident command structure that you would activate when dealing with consequence management. You may be queued up to complete an incident action plan based on what activities you are taking at any given point. So those are going to take a little bit longer for you to digest, review, and type in the appropriate response. Now once you have finished that, you simply click on the submit button and it keeps you moving forward through the exercise. So to continue moving, you either click on the submit button one time, or you'll click on the forward arrow if there is a forward arrow. Now we've come up to an example of a page that actually the team that was participating timed out on. The reason we have that top timer, that page timer, is to kind of keep you nudging along, moving along through the exercise. If that top timer zeroes out, as you see in the red circle, what will happen is the icon appears in the middle of the page, what you're looking at right now. The only option you now have is to click on the OK button, and it will move you forward in the exercise. Now, if whatever you have typed into the Onyx system to that point when you ran out of time will automatically be saved in the Onyx system, so you haven't lost any of the data that you had typed into that point. This, as I said earlier, kind of keeps moving you along through this self-paced exercise. Now, if you wanted to go back and finish typing in the response to an inject, all you need to do is click on the back arrow that you see up in the upper left hand corner. It'll move you back in exercise play. Up at the top of the page, little text will say, do you want to modify your response? You click on that, you finish typing in or type over whatever you want, click on submit, and then it begins to move you forward back into exercise play. So it's pretty straightforward. When you come to the end of the exercise, you're going to be keyed up to have a quick discussion about hot wash. Now, you're going to complete a group hot wash. That group hot wash is everyone discussing, the various actions that went well and need improvement. We'll move on to that in just a minute. But I do want to emphasize, as I mentioned earlier, all your team has registered. After the exercise is shut down, those who did not log in and use their account to play through the exercise will receive an email that basically cues them up, log in, and complete your individual hot wash. All those hot wash submittals wind up as part of your hospital's after action report. And with that, we've moved on to the hot wash. And the hot wash is that very typical 3 things that went well. Yes, we pulled out our plan, we checked our plan, and our plan covered most of the areas of concern during the exercise. Or those 3 things that didn't go well, we need to spend some time, update our plan, update some resource files. So focus on those 3 items from the standpoint of your team that went well. And those 3 items that the hospital can enhance its consequence management capabilities. So first of all, you'll do this as a group. Then after the exercise, everyone will complete an individual hot wash. Exercise evaluation. Your evaluator should have a paper version of the exercise evaluation guide for this exercise. During the exercise, he or she, just like with all exercise evaluation guides, will observe your play and capture various notes in terms of how you participated, those strengths, those areas for improvement. Then after the exercise is over, he or she will sit down with their paper version of the exercise evaluation guide, and for each of the tasks, they'll come up with an observation and an improvement recommendation. And also on the exercise evaluation guide, there's a performance scale for each of the tasks, so that when the evaluator actually goes to the Onyx system and logs in, they're going to see the activity, they're going to see the task that they evaluated, and they'll have the ability to rank the overall performance level, how the hospital did from strong to not applicable, but also are going to need to key in observations, what did they observe, as well as recommendations, especially if there's area for improvement. Now, just real quick item dealing with that performance rating. If a hospital is doing a good job, a job that you would expect them to do, that's what we normally would consider adequate. If a hospital is, you decide they're doing really strong, you really need to capture that in the observation window so that the hospital understands where they are strong and where they might need to spend some energy and effort to enhance their capability. Following the exercise, there'll be a couple of reports that are sent to each individual hospital. First of all, will be that after action report improvement plan. This is an HCEP document that is specific to your hospital that will contain your evaluators' observations and recommendations for each of the activities and tasks, as well as all of the hot wash submittals. And if you see on the right hand side under the evaluator component where they clicked on strong, adequate, weak, etc., It exports in the after action report as color coded, so you can look at the report real quick and identify those areas that you're doing well at and those areas that you may need to improve upon. So it's really important that your evaluator does a thorough job and submits their information into the Onyx system as quickly as possible. Finally, went one slide too many, sorry. You'll receive an inject response report that will contain all of the responses that your team keyed into the exercise as it played through the various scenarios and responses. That report will come out at the same time the after action report, and this can be a really good document to use to go back and improve parts and pieces of your plan. So be thorough as you're keying in responses based on some of the scenarios and injects, because you might be able to use that information to go back in and update your plan. Well, that's the end of our exercise briefing. We do hope that everyone who participates has a good time. And with that, that'll end our exercise briefing. Thank you, everyone.